Hi, this is Dave at Actual Human. When you're buying a vehicle from a dealership, you may feel intimidated by the negotiating process. And in many ways, you might be correct in that because remember, that dealer, the salespeople, the managers, they negotiate for a living. They do car deals every day. They might sell 15, 20 cars a day times, 25 days a month. That's 500 cars a month. 6,000 cars a year. If a person works there for 2 years, they might have 10,000 cars sold, not counting conversations with non buyers. They could have tens of thousands of practice negotiations, and you might have one every 3, 4 years, right? So, who's going to be better at negotiating, at working a car deal? So, yeah, the odds are kind of stacked against you, but you have to remember you are holding the power, you are holding all the cards because you're the one that has the money. You're the one who can make the decision yes or no. They can't force you to buy a car. They can use psychology, Jedi mind tricks, and sometimes manipulation, but you got to remember you can always not buy the car. So, number one is always be prepared to walk away. There's always going to be another car. There's always going to be another dealer. There's always going to be, it's not the last car that you could buy. Even if you love it to death, it's not going to be the end of your life if you don't buy that particular car. That's number one. So be prepared to walk away at any time. It's hard to do because they're going to make you feel guilty. They're going to make you feel intimidated. They're going to make you feel like it's urgent, like you have to do it right away. They're going to put pressure on you. They're going to tell you there's not many cars like it. And maybe there's not. It could be true. But that shouldn't make you make a bad deal. Number two, you want to make sure you're not rushed. So a lot of times they'll make you make decisions quickly on the spot. And a lot of times dealers call that a spot delivery. If you go to a dealership and say, how many cars did you spot today? Spot means on the spot delivery. And that's a way to get you in the car that day. So you don't think about it. You don't evaluate it. How do you get around somebody trying to put pressure on you? You can turn it around and ask them, well, don't you want me to think about it? Right? If you say, I want to think about it, and they give you a reason why not, or try to pressure you, hey, it's a deal only today, you should buy it. You ask them, well, don't you want me to be an informed consumer? Don't you want me to think about it? So now it puts them in a position where if they tell you they don't want you to think about it, it makes them define themselves as unethical. You see where that's going? So if they're saying that they care about you, they support the consumer, they want to give you a good deal, they want to treat you the right way. If you ask them, well, isn't treating me the right way giving me the opportunity to consider a large purchase like a car? You don't want me to do that? Why don't you want me to do that? Why don't you want me to think about it? There's only one reason they don't want you to think about it is because you might decide not to do it, or you might decide to maybe get a better deal. So ask them, turn it around on them. Always turn the question around and say, well, why don't you want me to think about it? Right? If they say, well, the deal's not going to be as good tomorrow, or you're going to charge me more tomorrow, you're going to punish me for thinking about it. Like, use their logic against them. What's another good negotiating tactic? Well, most people, when you buy a car, have a trade-in. You have a trade-in. And they're going to go and beat up your trade-in. Like I said, there's a dent here, there's a scratch there, there's all this stuff. And they're going to tell you and criticize things about the car to make it seem bad. Once they do all that and they give you a number, let's say they tell you your car's worth $15,000, say, well, you know what? Maybe I should find a place that likes my car better. If they tell you how bad it is, they're hard to sell, they don't have a lot of customers, the market's not that good, they're not good at selling those cars, you can say, oh, I understand, I appreciate that, I appreciate being honest with me. Maybe I'll go find another dealer that has better luck selling these kind of cars. Maybe I'll find another dealer that likes my car better than you do. Right? So you can, again, use their negativity against them. If they don't like your car, say, well, why would you even want to buy it then? Right? If you don't like it that much, then maybe this isn't the best place to trade it in. Right? Also, as far as trade-in, at the very beginning of a car transaction, the dealer's going to ask you one or two or both questions. How much do you want for your car, or how much do you owe? Your video will be back in 8 seconds. In the meantime, remember, you have access to live one-on-one consultation, undivided attention of a licensed certified expert in this subject and many others. We want to listen to your story. We want to hear your questions and give you expert advisement of your options. We want to tell you what we know about your situation and what options you have. Now back to your video. On your car. And it's a trick because they want to try to get a sense for you what you're trying to get. If you say a high number, they're going to beat you up and say, you're crazy, that's no good. And it's going to try to embarrass you into, thinking you don't know what you're talking about. If you say a low number, they'll use it as an advantage to try to get your car for cheap. So no matter what you do, you're going to lose. You can't win that battle. So you ask them, well, and pause for effect a little bit. Put a little pause in the conversation. If they ask you, how much do you think your car is worth, or how much do you want for your car? Well, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Does what I think it's worth kind of change what you're going to give me for it? Or if they ask you, how much do you owe on it? Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Does what I owe on the car kind of change what you're going to offer me for it? And it kind of stumped them because, of course, no, the car's worth what it's worth. It doesn't matter what you think it's worth or what you owe on it. It's worth what it's worth. If they say no, then why does it matter? Why does it matter what I want for it, or why does it matter what I owe on it? Right? By asking those questions, it's going to do two things. It's going to disarm their aggressiveness. It's going to disarm their manipulation. It'll also teach them to stop asking stupid questions. Look, the car dealer should make a profit. And really, they should make more profit than they do. When somebody sells a $40,000 or $50,000 car and they make $400 or $500 profit, that's a low amount compared to most other products. And the more you can show that dealer that you are not falling for their tricks, the less tricks they're going to do, because they don't like rejection as much as anybody else does. So what about pricing and payments? At some point, you're going to pick out a vehicle and you might like it. Just make sure you do. And then it's going to get into the numbers. And you want to make sure that the price is valid. You also want to make sure that there's not any sneaky add-ons, because if you agree to a price, let's say $42,000, and they give you a payment, by the time you go to do all that paperwork, they're going to give you a mound of paperwork in the finance office, and they might sneak in an extra cost of $399 for something, or $299 for paint sealant, or documentation fee. Make sure you go through with a fine-tooth comb. Because what a lot of people don't realize is if they tell you the price is $42,000 and it seems like a great deal because you've shopped around other dealers, and they tell you your payment is $680, you don't know if that $680 is the right payment for $42,000. That might be the payment for $50,000. You have no way of knowing until you see the paperwork. So you have to see if there's anything else been added. Obviously, there's some things that aren't going to get added. You need to pay sales tax, actual registration, title fees. I get that. But make sure there's nothing sneaky that is slipped in after the fact and that you're not signing for something that you're not aware of. Also, make sure that your interest rate is reasonable on the loan. One way to do it is to get some interest rate quotes from your bank or credit union before you go there. Now, one thing a lot of people say or think that they could say they get a better deal is, I'm paying cash. Don't say you're paying cash. It's the worst thing you can do. Even if you are paying cash, even if you're writing a check from your bank account or financing at your credit union, don't tell the dealer that, because dealers make money on financing. If you go to the dealer and you finance a car with them and you pay payments to a bank, they get a kickback from the bank. So if you tell them you're paying cash, they're going to figure, well, we're not getting that kickback, so we have to keep the price higher. So tell them, yeah, I'm considering financing. So that way they'll figure they're going to make some more money on financing. At the last minute, you can say, no, I'm going to pay cash, and now they're trapped because they already gave you the price. If you have more questions about advice on buying a car, you can click the link below. We're glad to give you some advice on that. We've been dealing with this for over 20 years, from both inside and outside the car business. We've been brokers, wholesalers, new car dealers. We've owned new car dealerships, so we know the ins and outs of the market even today, especially with EVs. So if you have questions, click the link. We're glad to be of assistance. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can access live one-on-one personal consultations with a licensed private investigator, a licensed commercial insurance broker, licensed certified real estate title examiner, also a certified civil court mediator. So if you have a need to talk to an expert in any of these fields, or even a licensed building general contractor, you can click the link below, actualhuman.com, and arrange a live one-on-one undivided attention with a licensed expert where you can ask any questions, get information about your situation, and we'd be glad to help.